And it was terrible. I still have a heartache that it ended so badly, this wonderful thing, that Joyce Dewitt to this day doesn't talk to me.
What happened to the actress who quietly held Three's Company together while chaos unfolded all around her? For years, fans only saw the cheerful roommate who kept the apartment running smoothly, but very few people knew what she was actually dealing with behind the scenes. Her co-stars were clashing, the network was making decisions without warning, and fame brought complications she never expected. Even after the show ended, her path took turns that surprised many of the people who thought they knew her. Keep watching as we uncover what really happened to Joyce Dewitt from Three's Company.
But years later, I did find out there was some going on.
One of the most iconic sitcoms that comes to mind is the hit show Three's Company.
Oh, I could kiss every interview. All right, you guys, knock it off.
In early 1976, Fred Silverman had just taken over as head of programming at ABC. He wanted a bold project to refresh the network. While searching for new ideas, he came across a British sitcom called Man About the House. Its concept was simple, but surprising for American TV. Two single women living with a single man. All three major networks had already rejected it, calling it too risky. But Silverman didn't let it go. He had been interested in it back when he was at CBS, and now he finally had the authority to move forward. He reached out to producers Don Taffner and Ted Bergman and asked them to create an American version. He wanted something fresh that pushed boundaries the way All in the Family had done with topics like race and politics. Against expectations, the project was approved. At first, the series almost became something completely different. The first writer hired, Peter Stone, was a respected Broadway figure. He set the story in New York and made the male lead a chef at a fancy French restaurant. The two female roommates were a secretary and a fashion model. The setup felt too glamorous and not relatable enough. When Silverman read the script, he knew it wouldn't work. It didn't feel like something the average American viewer could connect with. Stone's version was dropped before filming even began. That early setback made it clear how challenging it would be to turn a British idea into something that felt natural for American audiences. The show needed a setting and characters that felt grounded, something that fit a place like Santa Monica. That was when Larry Gelbart, known for creating MASH, stepped in. He wasn't excited about the idea at first. He felt it was too light and lacked depth. Still, as a favor to Silverman, he agreed to help. Working with his son-in-law Gary Marowitz, he helped build the next version of the show. Marowitz came up with the title Three's Company. In their version, the male lead was named David Bell, a hopeful filmmaker who could cook. He lived with Jenny, who worked at the DMV, and Samantha, an actress trying to get her big break. Their apartment was in a building called the Hacienda Palms in North Hollywood. Gelbart didn't stay long, but his work helped guide the tone. His version made the concept feel more familiar and believable for American viewers while keeping the playful side of the story. The day before filming was supposed to begin, ABC faced a major problem. They had already tried 3 different pilots, and none of the actresses tested for Chrissy Snow felt right. Time was running out. Fred Silverman, now ABC's entertainment president, was under pressure. He sat down with a stack of audition tapes and started skimming through them. He didn't expect to find anything. Then one clip caught his attention. It was Suzanne Summers. He remembered seeing her once on The Tonight Show. He stopped the tape, rewound it, and watched again. He couldn't understand why she hadn't been chosen. When he asked for an explanation, no one had a good answer. Without hesitation, he brought her in immediately. The next morning, she was on set. That decision brought Chrissy Snow to life, and Suzanne Summers soon became one of the most recognizable stars on television. helping the show run for 8 seasons and more than 170 episodes. If Silverman hadn't stayed late that night, the show's history might have been completely different. But Suzanne's casting wasn't the only thing almost changed. Right before filming, producers began doubting John Ritter. They worried his physical comedy might give viewers the wrong impression. Jack Tripper had to pretend to be gay so he could live with 2 women, but they feared Ritter's acting might make the audience think he actually was gay, which they believed would ruin the setup. The concern grew serious enough that Silverman had to step in again. He made the decision simple. Ritter stays. It turned out to be the right choice. The same physical comedy that made producers nervous became the heart of the show. His timing, expressions, and falls made him a standout. Ritter later earned both an Emmy and a Golden Globe. What the producers once questioned became one of his strongest qualities. Before Ritter secured the role, several actors were considered for Jack Tripper. Barry Van Dyke, son of Dick Van Dyke, was a strong possibility. So was Michael Lembeck, who later directed episodes of Friends. Billy Crystal also auditioned. He didn't get the part, but the same year he landed his breakout role on the show Soap. Even so, it's hard to imagine anyone except Ritter as Jack. His timing, charm, and physical humor defined the character. The cast also showed courage early on. Only 6 episodes into the show, Joyce Dewitt, who played Janet, refused to deliver a line that insulted a prostitute character. She felt it didn't match who Janet was. The producer insisted, but she stood firm. John Ritter even offered to say the line instead, but she still refused. "Bring a gun," she said. "I still won't say it." Later, when ABC tried to go back on a promised raise, she didn't show up for work. Instead, she went straight to the head of the network and explained that her fight wasn't just about money. It was about respect. She got the raise and earned a reputation as someone who stood up for herself. The network also showed determination at times. When they wanted Audra Lindley for the role of Mrs. Roper, they discovered she was committed to a stage play in Los Angeles. Most networks would have moved on. ABC didn't. They paid $8,000 to buy out the theater for a night so she could tape the pilot. The gamble worked. Her chemistry with Norman Fell was so strong that they got their own spin-off, The Ropers, 2 years later. When Three's Company premiered on March 15, 1977, expectations were low. It was meant to air just 6 episodes as a spring test. Executives didn't think it would last, but viewers disagreed. The unusual setup, a man pretending to be gay so he could live with 2 women, caught people's attention. The cast connected immediately, and the humor landed from the start. The first episode, A Man About the House, surprised everyone by ranking 28th for the week. And that was only the beginning. With each new episode, more viewers tuned in. By the time the 6th episode aired on April 21st, the show had become a major hit. It reached an average rating of 23.1, placing it 11th for the entire 1976 to 1977 season. This kind of success was rare for a mid-season replacement. ABC didn't wait. They renewed it right away. When the show returned in the fall, ABC placed it after Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley on Tuesday nights. The lineup worked perfectly. Ratings continued to rise. During the 1977 to 78 season, the show reached the number 3 spot in the country. Almost 1 in 3 TV households was watching. The next year, it climbed to number 2 with a 30.3 rating. The strong performance continued the following season, but not everyone liked what they saw. Some conservative groups were upset by the show's suggestive humor. The PTA rated it poorly, and the National Federation for Decency urged companies to pull their ads. Some sponsors did, but ABC didn't back down. The criticism brought even more attention to the show. Mixed in with the jokes and controversy, Three's Company quietly shifted how TV portrayed family life. It showed that a family could be a group of friends who supported each other. Jack, Janet, and Chrissy, and later Cindy and Terry, formed their own household built on loyalty, humor, and shared chaos. Their small Santa Monica apartment felt like a lively place where friends acted more like siblings. That approach influenced future shows like Friends and Will and Grace. Behind the scenes, though, not everything was smooth. Richard Klein had disagreements with producers. Once, when he tried to discuss his character during a run-through, they removed him from the show for 4 weeks. That moment showed how tightly the production was controlled. In 1978, the cast appeared on the cover of Newsweek for an article about sex on television. What should have been a milestone turned uncomfortable. The magazine placed them in a provocative pose, and none of the actors knew it would be styled that way. John Ritter and Joyce Dewitt were shocked. They expected a story about comedy, not sexuality. Ritter later said it created an uncomfortable atmosphere. Dewitt was upset, and even Suzanne Summers said she had no idea the shoot would turn out that way. The picture caused tension on set and also shaped how audiences viewed the show. What the cast thought of as light-hearted physical comedy was suddenly being marketed as something else. Even the theme song nearly turned out differently. Early on, producers wanted the 3 stars to sing it. It didn't work. Joe Raposo, who composed "Come and Knock on Our Door," said the actors tried, but singing wasn't their strength. The producers brought in Ray Charles, not the famous singer but another Ray Charles who worked in television, to help them. After an hour of trying, they asked for his opinion. He hesitated and said, "I'm not sure." They replied, "We are. We like the way you sing it." That is how Ray Charles and Julia Rinker Miller became the voices behind the theme song. Top session musicians, including Hal Blaine on drums and Tommy Tedesco on guitar, backed them up with Raposo playing sax. Together, they created one of TV's most recognizable opening themes. Meanwhile, Suzanne Summers was making bold moves. During the first season, she gave up her entire salary from the first 6 episodes and handed it to her manager, Jay Bernstein. Her instructions were simple. Make me famous. Three's Company was only a mid-season replacement at the time, and no one knew if it would succeed. But Summers was thinking ahead. Bernstein had helped Farrah Fawcett become a household name, and Summers wanted a similar path. Within a year, she appeared on 55 magazine covers. Her image was everywhere. Bernstein later said he didn't think she was especially beautiful or talented at first, but he saw determination in her. Summers took a major risk, and it paid off. She went from a newcomer to one of TV's most recognizable personalities. By the late 1970s, the show was one of the most popular on television. But behind the scenes, something unfair was happening financially. John Ritter earned $150,000 per episode. Suzanne Summers, who was one of the biggest draws on the show, made only $30,000. Joyce Dewitt earned the same amount. Suzanne brought in a large female audience aged 18 to 49, which advertisers valued most. Still, she earned 1/5 of Ritter's salary. When she first joined the show, Suzanne was grateful just to be working. As a single mother supporting her son, the job felt like a lifeline. Her starting pay of $3,500 a week felt substantial. As the show grew, her pay rose to $30,000 per episode. Even then, she couldn't ignore the gap between her salary and the pay earned by male stars like Alan Alda and Carol O'Connor, who were making 6 figures per week. By 1980, as the show entered its 5th season, Suzanne decided to speak up. She wanted equal pay, not more than Ritter, just the same amount, $150,000 per episode and 10% of the profits. Before negotiations began, she told her co-stars her plan. "If you back me up, we'll all get it. I'll take the heat," she said. Her husband, Alan Hamill, handled negotiations. He warned her it might not go well. Suzanne believed the network wouldn't dare remove Chrissy. She was wrong. ABC didn't negotiate. They shut her down right away. Executives asked, "Who do you think you are?" and told her John Ritter was the star. The network offered a small raise, only $5,000 more per episode. She turned it down. That's when things began to fall apart. ABC didn't fire her outright. Instead, they cut her screen time to almost nothing. She was scheduled for 1 minute per episode. She filmed alone on a separate set, pretending to talk on the phone. She was not allowed to be with the cast. A security guard escorted her everywhere. Producers and executives presented her as greedy. The other actors were told she was trying to damage the show. Many of them believed it and started avoiding her. Her career stalled. Meetings, auditions, and press opportunities dried up. She later said she was fired from the top show at the height of her fame and couldn't even get an interview. She felt blacklisted for years after asking for equal pay. When Suzanne left in 1981, the producers moved fast to replace her. Jenna Lee Harrison joined as Cindy Snow, Chrissy's cousin. The change felt rushed, and the audience didn't warm to Cindy. Ratings fell. The writers struggled to find material for the new character, and Cindy often faded into the background. Within months, the producers began searching again for someone who could reconnect with viewers. Several actresses auditioned. Heather Locklear tried out and was nervous about sweat marks, so she put tissues under her arms. One tissue slipped during the reading and fell, which made everyone laugh. She didn't get the part, but she went on to succeed on shows like Dynasty and Melrose Place. Producers eventually cast Priscilla Barnes as Terry Alden, a steady, confident nurse. But the work environment was harsh. Producers pressed her to change her hair color, made her weigh in weekly, and chose outfits she didn't like. Barnes later said her 3 years on the show felt miserable, though she stayed until the series ended in 1984. With Chrissy gone, the writers moved more comedy toward John Ritter. He was talented, but he couldn't carry every joke alone. Don Knotts, as Mr. Furley, became more central. His reactions and misunderstandings kept many laughs coming, but the show's tone shifted, and the original spark faded. Joyce Dewitt noticed the change. She wanted Janet to grow, maybe open a flower shop or take on new goals. Producers resisted and kept repeating the same kinds of stories. In the final episode, Janet married, a choice Joyce felt did not fit the independent woman she had played. Viewership declined. The final season lost more than a fifth of the audience the show once had. Critics pointed to the drop in quality. ABC nearly ended the series early, but allowed a short final season so the show could reach the episode total needed for syndication. Norman Fell, who played Mr. Roper, had been offered a spin-off called The Ropers. He hesitated at first, but agreed after producers promised he and Audra Lindley could return if the new show failed. That promise was put in writing. At first the Ropers did well, but ABC moved it to Saturday nights, a weak slot for the show. Ratings fell sharply. When ABC canceled The Ropers in May 1980, the promise to bring them back had technically expired. Norman believed the network had waited on purpose, so they wouldn't have to honor the return. He and Audra did appear once more in a guest spot in March 1981, and that was the last time. On the main set, trust kept fraying. During the last season, Joyce Dewitt accidentally walked into a room and found secret auditions for a new spin-off, Three's a Crowd. They were casting Jack Tripper's new love interest. She was shocked to learn John Ritter had known and kept it from the rest of the cast. The discovery made the atmosphere on set worse. Later, Suzanne Summers tried to return. Her husband pushed for her to play Jack's wife in the Three's a Crowd spin-off. Producers were not interested. They had already hired Mary Carteret as Jack's girlfriend. Suzanne's chance to come back was gone. Neither the Ropers nor Three's a Crowd matched the original's success. The Ropers lost its edge after the move to a nicer neighborhood and the poor time slot. Three's a Crowd struggled with tone. Writers wrestled with how Jack should change now that he was in a steady relationship. The show also faced stiff competition from the A-Team. Most importantly, the original group was not together, and the chemistry was missing. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, drop a comment, and subscribe for more stories just like this. Your support helps us bring you more content every week. See you in the next one.